November 9, 2017, 11:18 p.m. EST. Lee Corfman says she was 14 years old when an older man approached her outside a courtroom in Etowah County, Alabama. She was sitting on a wooden bench with her mother, they both recall, when the man introduced himself as Roy Moore. It was early 1979 and Moore, now the Republican nominee in Alabama for a U.S. Senate seat, was a 32-year-old assistant district attorney. He struck up a conversation, Corfman and her mother say, and offered to watch the girl while her mother went inside for a child custody hearing. He said, "Oh, you don't want her to go in there and hear all that? I'll stay out here with her," says Corfman's mother, Nancy Wells, 71. "I thought, how nice for him to want to take care of my little girl." Alone with Corfman, Moore chatted with her and asked for her phone number, she says. Days later, she says, he picked her up around the corner from her house in Gadsden, drove her about 30 minutes to his home in the woods, told her how pretty she was and kissed her. On a second visit, she says, he took off her shirt and pants and removed his clothes. He touched her over her bra and underpants, she says, and guided her hand to touch him over his underwear. "I wanted it over with, I want it out," she remembers thinking. "Please just get this over with. Whatever this is, just get it over." Corfman says she asked Moore to take her home, and he did. Two of Corfman's childhood friends say she told them at the time that she was seeing an older man, and one says Corfman identified the man as Moore. Wells says her daughter told her about the encounter more than a decade later, as Moore was becoming more prominent as a local judge. Aside from Corfman, 3 other women interviewed by the Washington Post in recent weeks say Moore pursued them when they were between the ages of 16 and 18 and he was in his early 30s, episodes they say they found flattering at the time, but troubling as they got older. None of the 3 women say that Moore forced them into any sort of relationship or sexual contact. Wendy Miller says she was 14 and working as a Santa's helper at the Gadsden Mall when Moore first approached her, and 16 when he asked her on dates, which her mother forbade. Debbie Wesson Gibson says she was 17 when Moore spoke to her high school civics class and asked her out on the first of several dates that did not progress beyond kissing. Gloria Thacker Deason says she was an 18-year-old cheerleader when Moore began taking her on dates that included bottles of Matthias Rose wine. The legal drinking age in Alabama was 19. Of the 4 women, the youngest at the time was Corfman, who is the only one who says she had sexual contact with Moore that went beyond kissing. She says they did not have intercourse. In a written statement, Moore denied the allegations. "These allegations are completely false and are a desperate political attack by the National Democrat Party and the Washington Post on this campaign," said Moore, 70. The campaign said in a subsequent statement that if the allegations were true they would have surfaced during his previous campaigns, adding this garbage is the very definition of fake news. After the Post published this story Thursday afternoon, Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Kentucky, and a handful of other GOP senators said Moore must step aside if Corfman's account is true.